Say for the sake of argument, you're watching a political debate on TV. The conservative candidate has used their opening arguments to dump a truckload of dubious claims on their opponent. Now you recognize this maneuver. That's the Gish Gallop. The debater makes point after dubious point, and if the other debater doesn't rebut every single one, they will appear to have lost the argument. These points don't have to be good or hard to disprove, there just has to be a lot of them. Oh, but what's this? The Liberal candidate seems to have come prepared. That's new. They succinctly and efficiently dismantle each of their opponent's arguments, offering a clear rebuttal to every single one. It's obviously not the first time they've heard this particular gallop. So the Conservatives' petard has just fully hoisted them. They've lost their own game and have to go on the defensive. Right? Turns out, no. The Conservative points to a minor error. Maybe the Liberal said their program would cost $40 million, but is actually estimated to cost $43, and treats them as an ignorant sap who can't even count correctly. That is now the subject. Everything else has been forgotten, and the Liberal is backpedaling. Wait, you exclaim. How does that work? The Liberal has to rebut each and every point, but the Conservative takes issue with one and stays in the driver's seat? Are audiences fooled by this? Are Liberals that easily snookered? The answer may shock you. You've just borne witness to the reverse Gish Gallop, where an entire argument falls apart if any of it can be disputed. These disputes, again, don't have to be good. They just have to call the airtightness of the argument into question. So a good example of this is how conservatives obsess over gaffes, which, really? Guys? Some Democrat will be all, conservatives want to shut down post offices as a form of vote suppression. They're pushing voter ID laws, and the post office is where many people get their IDs, and we are relying more and more heavily on mail-in voting. They overwhelmingly try to shut down offices in Black and Latine neighborhoods. Also, a lot of services like healthcare and courts still use physical mail by default, and there can be serious consequences to getting it late. Many elderly people still don't use email, and hey, maybe some of them like getting junk mail. Up, that's it, that's your whole life now. For the rest of your career, you're the asshole who said old people like junk mail. You see, your mistake was assuming that dishonest people abide by the same rules they impose on everyone else. When I was a teenager, some friends of the family would invite me along when they asked my parents to dinner because I would play with their 5-year-old and let the grown-ups chat in peace. And he'd make up games where we'd bat a balloon back and forth or whatever and change the rules on the fly when it suited him, because the rule wasn't actually, you can only touch the balloon once per turn. The rule was Andrew wins. The purpose of a Gish Gallop is to establish a narrative, not through argument or logic, but force and volume. Once established, it takes a lot less effort for them to maintain than for you to establish a new one. If they shake confidence in your argument, the audience will often revert to the previous argument, whether or not that one was ever proven. It's not about which story is true. It's about who sets the parameters for all stories going forward. Who got there first? This is not a debate. This is a Zerg rush. Understand that a dishonest argument is Lego. You haven't dismantled it until every single brick is separated. But an honest rebuttal? An honest rebuttal is Jenga.